Rebecca Davis, a weird, scary, and interesting. And since it's Remembrance Day here in Canada, and it's Veterans Day in the United States, and there's probably a lot of celebrations around the world today or through this month to honor the ones that fought for our freedom. I thought today we could do another collection episode, since I haven't done a collection episode since I showed you me and Anita's collection of records. You know, Anita, the one that's in the back. Anita, say hi.
Hi.
If I didn't say it again, I'm Rebecca Davis, and this is Weird, Scary, and Interesting. So today on Weird, Scary, and Interesting, in honor of Remembrance Day and Memorial Day in the United States, and whatever Remembrance Day type of service is held around the world today or through this month. I know the United Kingdom, on the news it was announced that they did their own kind of Remembrance Day service for the ones that fought for their freedom. Mainly that's what these type of services are, to celebrate the ones that fought for our freedom. Whether it was different wars through history, like the Vietnam, Korean, someplace said Civil Wars, whatever kind of war. And we still have veterans that still are alive today, and some are not. Like, there's no veterans alive from the First World War. I think of someday there won't be no veterans alive from the Second World War alive anymore. Right, B?
Yeah.
So, in honor today on Weird, Scary, and Interesting, I'm gonna be showing you our collection of war movies. We're just gonna talk about it. I had to look it up if it was okay to do it. Show the collection of war movies on YouTube. YouTube says fine as long as they don't show the content on the videos that are in them. So we're gonna just talk about what they are about, and I'll show them. Okay. It's not a big collection like you've seen in the movies I showed of Christmas and Halloween. It's not as, we haven't dived right in and bought a lot of the war movies. And for you war buffs that are completely love the war, or even you veterans out there, you'll probably be interested in this video today. Okay, let's get into it. Our first one, be good for you, ones that like, cartoons. You would remember the Looney Tunes cartoon from way back. Tweety had his own little war movie. It's called Tweety and Friends Air Raid Warned. See? Because he's a soldier in some type of war, I guess, always with pesky Sylvester. So it has on it starring in a Tale of Two Kitties. I guess it's an odd Tale of Two Cities. This super classic cartoon features Abbott and Costello as bad old putty tats, like Tweety said, I thought to seen a putty cat. I did. Every time Sylvester came around. Only you once said, my older viewers probably remember who Abbott and Costello is. Okay, there's Molly, Moo Cow, and the Indians. Or as we call them in Canada, be First Nations, and in the United States it would be American Indians. Molly runs away to live with the Indians from this side of the world, not the Indians from India. Two different cultures. But gets more excited than she bargains for. That's a real old version of that character. And then there's Pesto Django, A Bunny's Tale, A Magic with the Wabbit that became Bugs Bunny. Oh, so this is kind of tells you where Bugs came from. Bugs Bunny, not Bugsy Siegel. And Wabbit is what Elmer Fudd says. I think Elmer Fudd must have a speech impediment. I don't think he can pronounce the letter R. That's why it comes out with Wabbit. And then he's just laughing. Okay. This runs from 30 minutes, only 30 minutes. I'll explain this because there's 3 movies in this. And it's from 1990 from United American Video. Made in the United States. Well, the brand name of the company that makes this, you would guess that United American Video would be from the United States. A guaranteed super quality. We haven't watched their war movie collection yet, so I don't know how good quality it is. I forget where we got it. It may have been a yard sale. We do a lot of yard sales. And if you notice a lot of what compare to the you can see a lot of difference compared to the older Looney Tune characters to current Looney Tune characters. You can see the difference of how they look. Like Bugs Bunny looks a lot different to what it looked way back in the 90s. Compared to, this is color cartoons on here. Yeah. So this is a VHS, as you can tell. So, yeah, that's old if it's a VHS. Yeah. More or less, I think I've seen that. Yeah, see, more or less, there's always the idea of this little war motif thing is as always Tweety's at war with Sylvester, because Sylvester, you know, cats, if you're had cats for pets, or you have a friend that has cats, cats usually try to eat birds, unless it's a fish. But since Tweety is a bird, Tweety bird, he always tries to get Tweety so he can eat Tweety. And obviously he called in the reinforcements. Unless that's the older version of Sylvester. I don't think Sylvester was that huge way back then. He's usually slim. But it looks like it's the guy that drew this nice little cartoon is E. Summers with 90. The word 90. It's not a bad movie. Okay. Let's move on. From Tweety and Friends. That'll be a good one to watch around this time of the year. Okay, we'll move on from Tweety and Friends to something that's from MGM. It's called The Battle of Britain. It's not a bad movie. Let's see what it's about. Featuring a big stellar cast, including Michael Caine, Trevor Howard, Laurence Olivier, Christopher Plummer. I've heard of Christopher Plummer. Michael Redgrave, Robert Shaw, Suzanne York, Suzanne spelled with an H at the end. Edward Fox. Battle of Britain is a spectacular retelling of the true story that shows courage at its inspiring best. Few defining moments can change the outcome of war. But when outnumbering the Royal Air Force defined instrumental against odds engaging the German Luftwaffe, they may well have altered the course of history. So, what I based on it, I think it's. Am I right? I have to look at it. I think it's based on the Second World War. I could be wrong. It could be based on the First World War. I'm just gonna look it up to settle my to see if I'm right. What war it's based in. Okay. Okay. The Battle of Britain was a military campaign of the Second World War. It was the first major battle fought entirely by air forces, with the Royal Air Force, RAF, defending the United Kingdom against largely scale attacks by Nazi Germany. Air Force. The Luftwaffe. The conflict took place between July and October 1940, after the fall of France and in preparation for a planned German invasion of Britain. So I wasn't sure, because I know that both first and second, we all know that the Germans were in both wars. No. I just had to look it up. I was just curious which war it was from. So, it was the Second World War. So, this is based in the Second World War. So, it's based on a campaign in the Second World War. So, this is the most exciting aerial combat sequences ever filmed. So there. It's from MGM. And if you don't, the MGM stands for Metro Goldwyn Mayer. yeah. Okay. It has special features. 16 by 9 wide screen. Original theatrical trailer. Original theatrical English and German. Intro English, French, and Spanish. CC. Language subtitles. And it's rated G for general. For general audiences. And it runs approximately for 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's from 1969. That's older than Tweety Bird and Friends. It's actually a good movie for the late 60s. I don't think you can see, I would see anything like that nowadays. And actually, whoever got that picture, took that picture for this cover, did a pretty good at shooting it perfect. Just like it was just like it was way back in the 40s. Call it Hollywood magic. There you go. Okay, let's move on from the Battle of Britain to something that I put this one in because it does have battle scenes in this one, and it's kind of historical also. It's called Braveheart. It's actually based on a real person. And played by Mel Gibson. Obviously, he was a winner of 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture in 1995. So we're going back to the same decade where Tweety and Friends were from. Every man dies, not every man really lives. Isn't that what we pay the price when we go into war? It's a widescreen collection, this one, and it's from Paramount. Which you could probably find this maybe on Paramount Plus now. Okay, I'll tell you about if any of you haven't watched this movie, you should. It's good for all of you if you're into war or if you're just into history in general. It's actually part of the United Kingdom's history. And probably a few people's family history. Right, P? Mel Gibson stars on both sides of the camera, playing the lead role plus directing and producing. Yeah, because the guy that played Braveheart, and he directed and produced this. I think he's got the same guy that was behind The Passion of the Christ. This brawling, richly detailed detailing saga of forced combat, tender love, and the will to risk. Okay, the will to risk that's precious for something more precious. Freedom! In emotional changed performance. Charged performances. Gibson is William Wallace, a bold Scottish man who used the steel of his blade and the fire of his intelligence to rally his countrymen to liberation. Filled with the swords clinging spectral, Braveheart is tremulous tapestry of history come alive. The most sumptuous and involving historical epic since Lawrence of Arabia. Never seen Lawrence of Arabia, seen this. Obviously, because we have a copy. Brax's Rob Laurie and Los Angeles Magazine. We're just seeing who all the actors was. It mostly gives who. Well, this one's from 1955. This one really, most movies don't tell you who's all the actors. You'd have to look it up. In 1955, from 1955, color, 1977, mini, USAR. Oh, it's rated R, I guess. Oh, I can understand. It has a little love scene between Isabella of France, which happens to be an ancestor of mine. Some of the scenes in this movie is not historically accurate. I looked it up. My ancestor did not have a fling with William Wallace. And some of you thinking that Edward III, my ancestor, is William Wallace's kid now. Okay, let's see. It's 177 minutes, as I said. It's on Paramount, which is probably on Paramount Plus now. Okay, there's a little quote here. It says, one of the most spectacular entertainments in years, and exhaling new fashion epic. Karen James, from the New York Times. That's probably why it also is rated R, because there is a little romance scene in between William Wallace and his wife. Which actually that is historically accurate. Okay, there's Edward the First. In there. And it does show in the movie, as it's been always historically documented, that Edward the First's son, another two ancestors of mine, was Edward II was supposed to be gay, and it historically accurate portrays Edward II being a homosexual in way back then. Okay. There is some, as I say, it's a good movie, but there is some things in this movie that is not historically accurate. And there is some things that are historically accurate. Okay. This movie has special features. Why, if you get the DVD. Now, it's probably on a streaming channel somewhere nowadays. The special features: widescreen version enhanced for 16:9, Dolby Digital English 5.1 surround sound, English Dolby surround sound, French Dolby surround sound, English subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing, so hearing impaired is that's why there's subtitles for people that have a hard time have a hard time hearing. That's why there's subtitles, so they can read and they can follow along. Interactive menus, scene selections, 2 theatrical trailers, commentary by director Mel Gibson, filmmaker's passion, the making of Braveheart. You know, there's, have you ever watched Horrible Histories? Horrible Histories has a very interesting, catchy song about William Wallace called William Wallace, the Scottish Rebel. He was you could say, yeah, he was a rebel because he was trying to keep freedom in Scotland away from the English, because since at his time the current king, I think his name was Alexander, had died, and they were kind of in between, as they say, a session crisis. So and old King Edward I decided Scotland's mine. So, that's why the whole war, because, because Edward the First, my ancestor, had wanted Scotland for himself. And at the time, it's the same time frame of my other ancestor, Robert the Bruce. They happen to be Robert the Bruce and Edward the First, or like 24th great grandfathers. So Edward the First is in the part of the movie. He's supposed to be fighting with William Wallace, and then since Robert the Bruce and Edward the First are actually relations, because you know royals inbreed. I'm trying to keep train of thought, Anita.
Sorry, Jeff, but I'm gonna say just like bunnies. But the guy is still on camera.
Are you calling my ancestors rabbits? Okay.
The guy is still on camera.
Okay. I guess that's sound. We'll sit down.
Sorry. The guy is still laughing now.
So, start of the, as I say, the start of the, so Edward the First and Robert the Bruce are related. That's said that before. So, and wise guy, a wise woman back here calls my ancestors rabbits. Good one, P. Anyways, so as in the movie, Robert the Bruce fights with William Wallace, and then in halfway through the movie, he backstabs William Wallace and fights on the side of his cousin Edward the First. But William Wallace doesn't realize that the guy that he thought was his friend, Robert the Bruce, had backstabbed until Robert the Bruce falls off, gets pulled or forced off his horse. He pulls off the helmet of him, and it's like, oh shit, you didn't. And it's kind of, I wonder if that's where I get the whole guilt from.
What?
Somebody's on the counter. I can see her right through the Pepsi fridge.
Hey, butthead, get off the counter.
She's off the counter now. I wonder if that's where I get the guilt trip from.
Probably.
No. So, I guess it's a whole... I guess Robert the Bruce thinks, probably thought, blood is thicker than water, and maybe William Wallace wouldn't know. Yeah, he's gonna know once he pulls your helmet off, Grandpa Robert. I think so. And kind of after that, it's like a moment that after Robert the Bruce's helmet is torn off of him, it's kind of like, really, how can I trust you now since you backstabbed me and go on the enemy side, which the King of England at the time was the King of England. And this is also the ancestor of the current King of England, which happens to be my cousin too. Anyways, okay. I think I lost my train of thought there. Okay, get your train of thought back. Anyways, so, yeah, back to the whole, how dare is, Robert the Bruce, and William Wallace. It's more or less, the scene in this movie that William Wallace has found out that the future King of Scotland just backstabbed him, and turned on him in favor of his cousin, the King of England. As I say, it's kind of like, how can I trust you now? You just backstabbed me. So, you can see in Robert the Bruce, that, as I say, that in a movie that is like great. It's like guilt. I should not have done that. Because mainly he backstabbed him because he was offered to a title. He was like, I think, Lord something. So eventually, so you see towards the end of the movie when William Wallace is executed, that Robert the Bruce has jumped forces and now is fighting on the Scottish side, and fights the war of Scottish independence. Which, okay, I'll give you a little historical fact which I've seen on videos on YouTube before, that, as I said, some of the scenes out of this is not historically accurate. That they say that Edward the First, my 24th great grandfather, had died way before they executed Braveheart, William Wallace. I know some people say that, I've seen some videos say Braveheart's more Robert the Bruce, Braveheart's more William Wallace. But William Wallace was, I think, probably the guy that kicked off the whole Scottish independence because the English was taking over Scotland because they had a succession crisis because their last king just died. And then eventually later on, Robert the Bruce did become King Robert the First. So no, I figured that out when I did my family tree. Okay, and so, it's actually a pretty good movie. Besides the fact that it having not been historically accurate, like they could have portrayed that old King Edward the First, Edward Langshanks had died way before he did, but it's Hollywood, we have to not be strictly accurate, I guess. And this would that'd be a good topic for our joint channel to go through some movies that weren't historically accurate, and this is a great example of movies that are not historically accurate. Okay, let's move on from Braveheart and me trying to remember my family history. So you can say that more or less it's, as I say, it's a good movie. It's a good watch. Minus the strictly accurate, not being historically accurate. I see even the dress, like the kilts that the Scots are famous for wearing. That's historically not accurate because the kilt was not in fashion in Scotland yet. I don't think even the bagpipes came into Scotland yet. Okay. So, this is a good movie to watch. There you go. Okay, let's move on from Braveheart. A good movie, but it's historically inaccurate. To Flight of Intruder. Well, Lewis, you not somebody banging at the door.
Me, I'm trying to get Statue's attention to leave my sister alone. Hey.
Damn cat. Okay. Flight Intruder. What are you doing? Say hi. Little brat. Okay. Flight of Intruder. It has Danny Glover, Will Dafoe, and Brad Brad Johnson. The guy in the mustache, I guess, is Brad Johnson. Ooh, my French is not good. I guess we will try. Le Val de Intruder. Sorry if I insulted any of my French watchers. It says back here, the little read up thing. From producers of The Hunt for Red October and director of Red Dawn comes explosive wartime adventure, reporting with spectacular aerial action. Danny Glover, Brackus, I guess he played in Lethal Weapon, plays Commander Frank Campbell T. The battle-hardened squadman, leader of an aircraft carrier during the Vietnam War. A little different than the Scottish independence. Brad Johnson, from Always, is a pilot. Jake Garfton, disillusioned young. What time is it? I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Something. Okay. We were reading what this movie's about. Because we're on The Flight of Intruder. Okay, Brad Johnson from Always is a pilot. Jake Grafton, delusioned young regrade looking for payback, while William Dafoe from Spider-Man. Oh, really? Is Cole, plays Cole, the senile hell-bent bombardier Grafton recruits to play an unauthorized mission behind enemy lines. The target, a missile deported in Hanoi. The plane, the A-6 Intruder, a lower altitude bomber with no defense weapons. The risk, court-martial at the hands of Commander Camparelli if they leave to return. A little bit says, quote says here, terrific action movie. This is in English. By Pat Collins from WOR TV in New York. Okay, it's widescreen enhanced for 16:9 TVs. As English 5.1 Dolby Digital, English 2.0 Dolby Digital, French 2.0 Dolby Digital, and subtitle English version. Okay. This is also from Paramount Pictures. It's from 1991. So this one was released the year after Tweety and Friends. It's in color and 114 minutes and PG. Rated PG, which is for parent guardian. So for parental guardian. So it'd be up to you if there's any young ones, any minors wanna watch this, it'd be up to your parents to decide whether it's okay for them to watch a war movie. Okay, let's move on from Flight of the Intruder. The next one, it's called Jacob the Liar. I'll show you in a minute here. It's Jacob the Liar. Used to be my grandparents. Jacob the Liar. It's a Robin Williams movie, and it's based in the Second World War. Because the character Jacob is Jewish, and we all know what happened there during the Second World War, that Jews were one of the groups that got rounded up and put in Holocaust camps. Okay, I'll tell you a little bit about it. It's actually not a bad movie. I'm a Robin Williams fan myself. Okay. In Nazi-occupied Poland during the Second World War, poor Jewish cafe owner Jacob Hyman, played by Oscar winner Robin Williams, Best Supporting Actor in 1997, from Good Will Hunting, this is what it says in the brackets. Anyways, back to the movie. Accidentally overhears a forbidden radio news. Because they were, I guess, they weren't allowed to listen to have radios. It was forbidden. it wasn't their faith, it was just what happened in the Nazi occupied territories. Accidental. Okay. Back to the radio thing. Radio news bulletin signal. The Soviet military accessed against German forces to combat the overwhelming depression. And offering themselves. That revised the ghetto. Jacob intervenes. Factious news bulletin about Allied advances against the Nazis. These lies keep hope and humor alive among the ghetto inhabited. Spirits were lifted, hearts are refreshed, and optimistic is reborn. So they're not so, since it's a little tale, he kind of brought new hope and less depression to the ghetto that the Jews were put in, that he lived in with the Jewish neighborhood. The Germans learned of mythical radio and began a search for his restrained hero who dares operate it. So it was certain things in that. But I know my history from there, from the Second World War, that when they occupied the territories of the Nazis, and allows certain things like radios and the supplies and that, because mainly they were trying to write that race out, and it's actually, I think I'm right, something on the race that they rounded up, but anyways, because the Nazis wanted to make an Aryan race, which it's a good movie. It's a little sad at the end because eventually he does confess that he doesn't have a radio, because he actually heard the radio, heard this news on the radio from when he was in the office. So, because he had to miss the curfew and he had to go and report, and he heard the radio from one of the offices and then one of the Nazis. So he ended up paying the price because he wasn't supposed to hear what it's the radio at the and since his little lie, in a way his lie wasn't a lie, it was in a way a truth, and then it snowballed into a lie, and then he just got carried away. So they ended up executing him because they thought because after a while, who could believe Jacob? But actually, in the end, they were, for the rest of them in this little cutie here, that the Soviets did save them. Okay. So anyway, it's sad, but there was, in the end, it was sad for Jacob, but it was a happy ending for the rest of the people that were living in the ghetto. So, okay, this is a PG, so this is another one of the movies that it's up to the parents whether they want the kids to watch this. Because this is PG-13, but the sticker says PG, but there's different ratings to PG-13. It's from Columbia Pictures. You know, the company that has kind of almost like the Lady Liberty and the horse, the Pegasus. Because over here it says Columbia TriStar. I guess around that time the Columbia and TriStar merged. Okay. It's approximately 120 minutes. It's from 1999. Columbia Pictures, all rights reserved. But there's another date, 2000, laid out design, and Columbia TriStar. So I guess that's the 2000s when the year released from Columbia TriStar. I would say it is a good watch for this time of season. Especially if you want to see what happened with the Jews and that, because they were in ghettos and then eventually put in Holocaust in the camps. Okay, the little quote here. It says Robin Williams gave an Oscar-worthy performance, and that's by Tim Reed from EYA.com. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Okay, that'd be a good movie for this time of season. Okay, we'll move on from Jacob the Liar to something that's quite similar to that era of the Second World War. And it's One Against the Wind. Okay. One Against the Wind. Okay. It has the main actor, people that played it was Judy Davis. I don't think no relation. And Sam Neill. If there was, she is relation, she would have to be a step relation because Davis is not my birthday, as I said before. Okay. It says One Against the Wind is, before I flip it over. It's a true story of extraordinary courage. So we, almost have like a theme going here. The Nazis call her spy. The Allies call her hero. What woman in history wouldn't be a spy? There's some spies in history that are spy for both sides. Have we ever heard of Maharaja? I was thinking, I'm trying to think of a name, and my brain won't let me think of it or say it. Okay. What is about, are you getting hungry? Most of them I got 3 away. Okay. What the movie's about. A defense act of bravery leads to beautiful solid into a dangerous world of intrigue and espionage. In this thrilling story of heroism during the Second World War, Judy Davis, played in House and Wives, Barton Frink. Okay, it delivers an award-winning performance as Mary Lindell, an English aristocrat. Let's try that again. Aristocrat. Good as I'm gonna get. Living in the Nazi-occupied Paris. So we went through a few occupied countries through those videos, didn't we, Nada? Who impulsively rescued injured pilot, played by Sam Neill. He played in Hunt for Red October. Oh. We just mentioned that like a movie or 2 ago. From the Nazis, she hides him in her home, then guides him on a narrow journey through enemy territory to the border. Without warning, she's swept into a resistance movement as other Allied pilots return to her in their despair flight to freedom. Mary carries on the dangerous risk her own life and the lives of her children. Soon she is operating the most successful underground railroad in France until she is arrested as a spy. Marked her death by the Gestapo, Mary Lindley now faces the ultimate challenge. She must preserve her life and save a network as she fights her own survival. Okay, and this is a Hallmark movie from Hallmark Hall of Fame. That's pretty good if it's from Hallmark. Reversing on oddly outstanding film, and that's by the Washington Post. And another quote is, Davis's performance is nothing short of magnificent, by the Detroit News. Okay, this is printed in the United States. This is rated PG, which I can understand. This is another movie. It's up to the parents whether they want the kids to watch it. It's pretty good if you want the kiddies to learn some history. And it's approximately 96 minutes, so it's a lot shorter than some of them, but a little longer than Tweety and Friends. It's also there's also from Republic Pictures. I'm just seeing if there's a year that it came out. One year is from 1993 and the other year is 1991, so it's from the 90s. It's not too old, not like the Battle of Britain, but it's I guess quite a bit old, but it should be about 30s now. I would say it's a good movie. We've watched it tons of times. Maybe another one I got used to my grandparents, but it's a pretty good movie, especially since it's historical. And it shows another half of what happened in the Second World War, like we see in the Jacob the Liar. That's a movie that to see on what happened with the Nazis. I mean the Jews, and this is what a movie that would show that with the spies that are from that era, because it was pretty, well, you know, from your history, it was pretty risky to be a spy in an occupied territory. So, okay, we'll move on from One Against the Wind to another one, which is we're going from all the way from Paris, France, to the United States and to a country. Well, actually, it's part of the United States. It's in Hawaii. Pearl Harbor. This is a good movie. There's on high def HD picture in HD. Okay, let's see what it's about. History comes to life in unforgettable epic motion picture Pearl Harbor. The spectacle blockbuster brought to the screen by Jerry Bruckheimer and Michael Bay experienced the groundbreaking special effects that places you in the center of the watershed events of the 20th century. Presented for the first time through the magic Blu-ray disc technology. Ben Affleck, Josh Hartnett, Kate Beckinsale star in this real tale of a catastrophic defeat, heroic victory, personal courage, and sacrifice. See the battle as never before in 1080p high def, while the astronomic 5:1 48 kHz 24 byte encompassing auto will make you feel as though you're in the cockpit. If your own fighter plane, the unparalleled realistic Blu-ray disc technology delivers breathtaking re-enhance of the date which will live in infamy. It's a pretty good movie. It's also from the Second World War. You can tell mostly all my me and Anita's war movies are based in the Second World War, but they're not fighting the Germans. They're fighting the Japanese. It's like more or less it's the later end of the Second World War. This is based in because at this time the Japanese had bombed Pearl Harbor. It's like no people. I watched a movie. I watched the show on Disney Plus called Draining the Oceans, and there's a speculation whether was it the Japanese or the Americans that bombed first. So whoever bombed first, they ended up getting thrown into the Americans got thrown into the Second World War because what happened before they went toe to toe with the Japanese was the Americans, the United States didn't want to get into World War II at the time. They wanted to stay out of this. Like, we did the whole World War One and we're fine. We're good. But once they got bombed by the Japanese, is what they knew back then. That it was possibly the Japanese that bombed first. They were since that happened in Pearl Harbor, since Pearl Harbor got bombed, they were thrown into the Second World War. So they had no choice. Since Hawaii is part of the U.S., since they annexed it illegally back in the 18th century, Hawaii is part of their territory. Now, I guess Hawaii was doing its own thing still. Hawaii would have had to be thrown in this, be the one fighting the Japanese. But now, since Hawaii's part of the United States, the United States had to defend their territory. So more or less, they didn't want to do it, but since that happened, they have to defend. I said, just turn a blind eye and forgetting. It's more or less, we have to defend, we have to take care of this. And before the Pearl Harbor thing that Japan was, we all know that was doing their own part of the Second World War, annexing practically every part of Southeast Asia. So now we have, we're now in this movie, like, since this movie's based on a true story of the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Now we have Pearl Harbor's been bombed, so the United States is now part of the Second World War. That's happening, because don't forget, it's not only in the Second World War, a little historical fact here. Are you listening back there?
Yep.
It wasn't only Europe part of the Second World War. Asia was part of the Second World War because of the Empire of Japan.
I'm calling.
I know you're calling. Now this would be the guy that was the Empire of Japan at that time would be, if I'm right, if I have my royal facts right, would be the grandfather, of the current emperor of Japan. So they would have, so Japan's doing is the Empire of Japan is running amok through Southeast Asia. And now it's now going toe to toe with the United States, because now the United States is thrown into the Second World War. So yeah. I'll warn you if you since we're going back to the movie now. Since I warn you for there is a racial slur in it, in this movie. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to be flagged on YouTube. It's just a racial slur that they use, that some people back during the Second World War, around that area, would call the Japanese. As I say, I'm not going to say it. You'll know if you ever watch this, or if you want to. It's not a bad movie. Even if there's some outdated stereotypes and in it. Actually, there's a lot of outdated movies that have outdated stereotypes. That's why, if you even watch some stuff on Disney, I think they still do it. They would put the warning that there's some outdated stereotypes things. So yeah, there's a outdated racial slur in this movie, which I'm not gonna say it. I have respect for the Japanese. It's a lovely culture. A lot of the South Asian cultures are lovely. So yeah, it's a good movie. Even it has you can't see it unless somehow the tablet zoom on it. It has the symbol on it on the back of this Blu-ray DVD box. For historical, because it's historical, because Pearl Harbor is historical, and it does dictate some of the what happened when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. It was a sneak attack. No one didn't know it was coming. It's like one blink minute the Japanese decided. And I do find the one part a little funny, that the guy with the speech impediment. I know it's not right to laugh at a person with speech problems. But I know I've had problems with speech myself. But it's the poor guy's trying to tell them the Japanese is here, but he's saying that racial slur. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. But eventually his buddies figured out when the Japanese blow the window apart. It's like, oh, they're here. I didn't know they're coming. Okay, I thought, well, I don't have to tell you now. I was trying, but... Okay, it's a good movie. It's a great depiction of what happened in that later part of the Second World War, when the Japanese came to town and blew Pearl Harbor to bits. And it does show the scenes of like some of the boats that were docked in Pearl Harbor. And there is, I think it was USS Arkansas or Kansas or one of them, that since it was sunk, and they say that one of them say that a bunch of men were trapped. It shows that there was a bunch of men that couldn't get out. And there is a ghost story that says that the actual real life boat in real life, that since it was sunk and there was a bunch of guys trapped and they couldn't get them out. They tried their darndest. They even show it in the video in this movie. That the ghost story says that they still hear banging of these dead comrades, of these dead soldiers trapped in this boat, in this naval boat, because they couldn't get out. It's a good movie for a historical movie. I'm not sure how accurate it is, but I would say it's pretty accurate. Maybe more accurate than Mr. Braveheart. And that's pretty it. I would say it has romance, it has war, it has everything you want for. If you want that, watch Pearl Harbor. Hi. Are you looking for the camera, Snowy? It's up here, Snowy. Do you want me to lift you up so you can say hi? I'm afraid you're gonna hiss. Can I lift you up? Say hi. Hi, people. I know. Happy Remembrance Day. Bye. There you go. You got your minute of fame. There you go. That's what I say if you want romance and war. There you go. Yeah. Well, there is one sad part. So it's the whole the soldiers get stuck in the naval ship because they couldn't get out. There is a character that a couple in here that did get engaged, and the one guy, or no, it was a girl. She died, and hopefully, spoiler alert if you've never seen it. But obviously, they never made it to the altar. But so, I would say this is a good movie for this time of year. So there you go. Check out Pearl Harbor. Okay. We'll move on from Pearl Harbor to The Big Lift. Okay. Oh. I guess we're still staying in the Second World War. In 1948, the Soviet Union, Baltic allies, sectors of Berlin to bring the entire city under control. A semi-documentary about in Berlin airlift gives way to stories of two factious U.S. Air Force personates Sergeant Hank McCullish, who's hatred of, well, I guess he doesn't like the Germans, Burroughs resisted to change, and Sergeant Jimmy McColga, who pursues of an active German war widow gives him a crash course in steady side of occupied Berlin. So we're going from Hawaii to Germany, mainly the capital of Germany, Berlin. You know, the place that brings us the Berlin Wall. Melissa, most of the World War II movies we have here are giving the show of each part of the Second World War, and this is showing what happened right in the center of it, like the Berlin, Germany. And we have a few people that are not big fans of the Germans at the time. I know. So it's not a bad movie. It's a movie to show you the center of it, And and the Soviet Union, it did exist during that time frame of what was going on in Germany. Okay, it's from Michael Pictures, this movie is. Presents The Big Lift, starring Montgomery Clift. Who doesn't remember Montgomery Clift? A lot of my older viewers would. Paul Douglas, Carol Borchers, Barney Lobel, Hassie, Hess. There's been a house in Europe called that, but it's usually hyphenated with something else. Hessernell or something. Okay. Production by William Perlberg, and written and directed by George Seaton. The genre is a drama running 120 minutes, and it's in classic black and white. It's from the 1950s. And this is way older than the battle in Britain. It's from the 50s, 1950. One. So yeah, since it's from the 1950s, the world was just fresh from the Second World War, so it shows right what of the center of it, because by the time by the time the Second World War wasn't quite over yet, and by 1940, because we were still dealing with the Empire of Japan running amok in Southeast Asia. Till we get to Pearl Harbor. And that was more or less the so by the time we would have the this would be in 1948, so it's close. It's like the tail end of it, but we're not over yet. It's not over yet. But it's this is good if you want. This is another good movie to see how Europe's part of the Second World War was going. Pearl Harbor is good to see what that part is. Okay. Well, there's probably more movies to see how the Southeast Asia part of the Second World War was like. Okay. Now, let's move from the big lift. You gonna see Snowy again? Hi. Now, let's go to Test a Will. Okay, now we're moving way out of the Second World War. Because now, the Test of Will is based in after the Second World War is done. This shows what my country, Canada's part, it was in the Korean War. As we call it, Korean War, it was called the Forgotten War. I didn't know that till I was watching something. You know. Anyways, Test of Will. It's Canada and Korea, 1950 to 1953. Where did we get this, Anita? Do you know? You're hopeful. This is the last one, you know. Test of Will. She's hopeful, isn't she? Could have been. We pick up a lot of strange things at yard sales. This past yard sale, we picked up an interesting one, something for pizza. Okay, the Test of Will is artifactal photos, film footage, radio reports, combat with letters, speeches, articles, reports from the time telling a little-known story of the Canadian involvement in Korea. The first war in which Canadian troops served directly under American command as part of the United Nations force. Because we are part of the United Nations, my country. Me and Anita's country. And counts of Canadians. And more or less, if war breaks out, is against, if war breaks out, we have to help out. Because we're part of one of the many, Canada is part of one of the many countries that are in the United Nations. Okay, let's continue. It is a take a drink and I'll finish. Okay. It is a neglected war. As I say, the Korean War is, as they call it, a forgotten war. Because more or less we're coming off of the Second World War and going right back. We're going back, right back into another war. Which happens to be a war that's also another war that's fought in Southeast Asia. Just primarily Southeast Asia. We're not going like a little bit in Europe, a little bit in Southeast Asia. We're just in we're mainly in Southeast Asia. This is the area where we call now North Korea and South Korea. The area where that, if you watched my Forgotten Former Kingdoms Ancient Times series, I did talked about a former kingdom that is in the Korean Peninsula. That it's in that part, what's now we're talking about that area, because what we know now, North Korea and South Korea, that's the area where in this movie it is, but unfortunately, as I say, it's neglected because we're just coming off the Second World War in this time frame. Okay. Back to the movie. The Korean government, I meant the Canadian government, for political reasons, prefer the assignment and police action deny its veterans the gratitude generally extend to those who have fought and died for the country. So, see. A little bit. And right here. Okay. So notice opening the thing from Norflick Productions. So this is from Norflick Productions Ltd. And producer's writer Richard Nelson comes Testa Will. Canada and Korea revamped documentary focused on Canada's role in the Korean War. Canadian Army in Korea was special force. Recruit from among volunteers. Most of them served in the Second War, as I said. We're just coming off the Second War. That's probably why they call the Korean War the Forgotten War, because they just got over a war and now they're thrown back into another one. The experience served them well, since they were almost always hugely outnumbered by the Chinese and North Koreans, which is now North Korea, fighting close to home or on their own soil. It was a war in which stated aim was to deny victory to the AGRESSORS accusers, rather than to achieve it for the United States. General MacArthur's ill-fated march to the Chinese border, which took place before Canadians arrived, and had demanded that the Korean conflict would be the war for peace rather than victory, a test of will. 36 years, almost to the day, after the Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry turned back the first German gas attack of the First World War. Some recruitment at Cap Yung stopped the Chinese in their deepest penetration into South Korea, which earned them a U.S. presidential union citation, artifactal photos, film footage, radio reports, combat with you stole my spot, Snowy. That's okay. Oh, with later speeches. Sorry, I just noticed the kitty stole my spot. This is what it says in here. I just glanced over. I'll get back to what I was reading. And with later speeches, artifactual and reports from the time to tell the little-known story of the Canadian involvement in Korea, the first war in which Canadian troops served directly under American commander, the part of the United Nations force. I think I read that already. Okay, yeah, I did that one. I read that one. Yes, it says in the neglected war, the Canadian government, for political reasons, referred to design police action and denied its veterans the gratitude generally expand to those who have fought and died for their country. The Korean War was a pivotal moment in Canadian history. By example, the Western Allies were prepared to use force to stop the rise of tolerantism, most serious threat, communism, which you know, that's what North Korea is now. Is communism. Is a communist country. And shape the geopolitical order of the Cold War era. Provide the opportunity for Canada's continued rise to prominency as a serious, respected middle power in strengths in protecting and promoting the ideals of peace and order and good government on the world stage. Since I pulled this out, it has 20 chapters, and the DVD-ROM has special features, catalogs, events, catalog dates, image photo galleries, containing 140 images, Korean War trivia quiz. Hopefully you're going on your Korean War trivia. I'm not, probably. Are you, P? Korean War. Are you good on your Korean War trivia?
No.
Canadian medals. Obviously, they had lots of those. Yeah, you think about it, you can understand why the Korean War is called the Forgotten War, because we just got, in this time frame, we just got off of the Second World War. The Second World War's over. It's finished. So 91, we're done. Once the Americans bombed Japan and signed a peace treaty, and we're good to go for a while. And Korea has almost struggled. Decided to have a war, and now we're thrown back into another war. You think of it, the people will remember any war in Southeast Asia that people remember is the Vietnam War. People would remember more of the Vietnam War over the Korean War, because the Korean War, since it started in 50, we're just it's so close to because it started right after the Second World War, so you're going from one war to another. No break between. At least there was a break between the First and Second World War. That's why the Korean War is called the Forgotten War, because He was so close right after the Second World War. That's why no one remembers. This probably would once all the Second World War veterans start passing. Okay, so let's see here. It's from 2002. I was still in high school in 2002. This is quite a ways way after the big lift. It's 100 minutes because of all the stuff that goes into it. It's not bad. Gives you a good a glimpse of what went on in the Korean War. Okay. I am thinking maybe for some time for or another. Remember to say we might take a look at different wars that were like Canada and different parts of the world took part in. Okay. Want to know what the rating is? Rated. What's it? It's rated E. What's rated E?
Everyone.
Everywhere?
Everyone.
Oh, is that for everyone?
I don't know.
Oh. He's spitballing.
It's just.
What's rated E stand for? What did you say?
Everyone.
You're right.
That was a guess.
So, it's rated E, so everybody can watch it. And everybody can learn a little glimpse into what was the struggle in the Korean War between South Korea and North Korea. Why they split into two and what we know as North Korea and South Korea. I guess if there wasn't no Korean War, they would have been still one. There wouldn't be no North or South Korea. It's sad that this war is never remembered because it's a forgotten war. You remember more of the Vietnam or the Second World War or any other war like the Iraq War or Afghan, the Gulf. I think it's because they're more spread out. It's not one war after another. There you go. Okay. And next, hopefully, that's it for war movies this time around. Because that's a short pile. So, hopefully, you will enjoy this video. And if you did, and if you did, you know the drill. Like and subscribe, and don't forget to comment, and don't forget to ring the bell, because obviously I do. And next week is our final episode for season 2 of We're Scary and Interesting. After next week, there's no more episodes for season 2. The final episode next week is Monsterverse. We're going to be learning about the monsters from the Monsterverse franchise. Like we did last year, we learned about the Universal monsters. A great way to end the season 2 of Weird, Scary, and Interesting. So, hopefully today you took time to remember and honor our veterans that fought for our freedom. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be so free. Okay, yeah. So happy Memorial Day to all those veterans out there. And I will see you all, civilian or veteran, in all. I'll see you next week, and I'll say goodbye. Goodbye.